we're just having a conversation, and Brad's like, you know what? We're just gonna start this thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's why we're here, man.
Exactly, right?
We get talking about Magic and get so excited about stuff, and we had that idea. Let's make it a podcast.
Right. In fact, the first time we even did it, I remember this whole thing started. We just started having a conversation, and Brad's like, let's turn a microphone on and see what happens.
And here we are. This is our 11th
I think so, man.
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. For those that are just listening for the first time, this is the SnapCast podcast. I'm Brad O'Brien. I'm joined by
Mike Cooley.
We like to talk about Magic cards, whether or not they're playable, whether or not they're valuable. Sometimes we talk about what's going on in the world of Magic.
Yeah.
Today we'll probably be talking about things that are just going on in the world.
Yeah.
One thing that's going on this weekend, mystery booster product launch.
That's going to be big, man. Remember those mystery boosters we talked about last week? They're finally coming onto the market. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens to those card prices. Some card prices have already dropped in lieu of the incoming reprints. So, yeah, I'm really curious to see what 1,700 new cards coming onto the market does for all of those prices. So that'll be interesting to watch. And we have some other big news, too, of things that are happening. Brad just brought it to my attention that due to the coronavirus, or COVID-19, as you should say in professional forums, like this is a professional forum, let's be serious.
Nice try.
But that has essentially been the cited reason as to why they're canceling Magic Pro Tours right now. So it's going to be a lot of play online on Magic Arena, MTGO. So, yeah, some big stuff happening, man. That's kind of like the big, that's like the big thing going around right now. This COVID-19, man. The place that I work at has switched to all online classes until the end of the semester, because of the impending. Oh yeah, look at that. I'm even plugging it.
Repping.
Humane bros. But yeah, so that's, I mean, there's just been some big changes. A whole bunch of schools around the nation have been doing that too. It's really, this whole, thing has affected the economy. It's affected a lot of different stuff around here.
Yeah.
And including what we might touch on today is some card prices, believe it or not, and so or some, potential decline or growth in card prices.
It's it's a pretty big deal. We joked about it a couple of weeks ago, calling it the Bud Light flu, but it's officially been upgraded to a pandemic. It's in 100+ countries, over 100,000 people worldwide that have contracted it. It's a pretty high lethality rate, especially if you're in a sensitive group. So this is one of those things that may define a generation.
Mm.
Like the kids that are. I say kids because I'm twice their age, but we both work in higher ed, and the seniors, the fourth year college students right now that are seeing their last semesters canceled, postponed, transitioned to online, they're going to talk about this for the rest of their lives as a monumental impact.
Yeah.
The things being shut down. So we talked about a lot of countries imposed restrictions on them. Last night, the U.S. president announced that we were going to stop flights in from the EU. So international travel has really been sort of brought way down by this. Commerce, people are scared. The market's going down like crazy every day. We're actually triggering the circuit breakers in the U.S. stock system.
What? Really?
Yeah. So what happens is when there's a panic sell and the market falls too far too fast, that basically the exchange system doesn't allow you to do any trades.
What?
It says nope, too much, too fast.
Wow.
This is unhealthy for anybody. Yeah.
Wow.
It's happened today and yesterday, I think.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Tripping those circuit breakers on Wall Street, man. We're doing good here. Doing good as
we're
a
not
human
tripping
race.
circuit breakers on Magic cards, but if you venture out this weekend. Actually, our local shop is having a mystery booster draft event on Saturday. There are definitely some cool ass cards. Now I'm trying to pull up that list that I had a minute ago, because if I can, mystery booster cards. Here we go. there are cards in this set that are big money, small money. If we sort by price descending.
Mm. Well, this is a really cool site. MTGstocks.com. You can sort by set, by price descending. Wow.
No.
Most expensive card in the set. Anyone want to guess what it is?
I bet most of our most informed listeners will know it's a Mana Crypt.
That it is. But
I don't own one.
I don't own one either.
I might draft on Saturday.
Oh, man. Can you imagine cracking a foil one of those right off the bat? Dude,
Actually, I don't think you can get a foil.
You know,
Not
you
in the
can?
foil set.
No way.
Remember those? We talked about this last week. Those 121 cards. Those are the foil slots.
I thought for sure there was a Mana Crypt in there. If not, they really missed a big opportunity there, man. Like that's uncalled for. Look at this though; it's already down. Mana Crypt went from like $200, and this version of it in the mystery booster cards is 153. Yep. That's according to MTGstocks.com. So, yeah, that's big. Teferi's Protection seems like it's maintained. Like that's $39 still.
Yeah,
$40 card anyway. But yeah, Mana Crypt just by getting announced as a reprint has dropped significantly. That makes me wonder how many people picked that card up because they were like, "Yeah, they ain't reprinting this in a long time."
They start in Eternal Masters and
yep.
and went in hard. Well, I'll tell you what. I mean, when the Mana Vault reprint happened, I snapped my box topper up and paid up premium to get it then. It's not worth now what it was then. We'll see in a couple of years, but sometimes just getting the card when it's available is the thing to do. So that's actually one of the things that I wanted to talk about when talking about this set is this weekend, next weekend, there's going to be a lot of these cards available. In 2 weeks from now, these cards will probably be about as low as they're going to get. Now, this set has been opened for the last year at Magic Fest. So they've had draft events of these cards firing at Magic Fest events for like the last year. It's this weekend that they're just coming to stores. And the difference, again, between the store version and the Magic Fest version is in place of a playtest card, you're going to get a foil. Every pack will have a 1 in 121 shot of having those foils we talked about last week. All of this stuff is available online. I think we even talked about Goldfish, had a great article on it last week. But the stuff like Demonic Tutor is just in the basic packs. Recruiter of the Guard.
So I watched a video the other day on YouTube from, I don't remember the creator. It seemed like it must have been one of the videos that got a lot of hits because of the subject matter on it. But the guy cracked a box that contained these mystery boosters. I'm not sure if he was supposed to, if people are supposed to have those or crack those at this point. I doubt it, but like.
Well, so the question is, did he have foils or did he have playtest cards?
He had legit, like he was cracking. Every pack had a foil in it,
Gotcha.
and it was on this list. They were legit packs.
And some people always, I think, get access a little early. The professor actually has a video. Tolarian Community College on YouTube has a video up where he's talking about whether or not it's worth it to buy. He's a big proponent of this product.
Because so he's a big supporter. Huh.
He's all about the reprints. So.
Yeah. But this guy was, what I found really interesting was that when this guy was cracking packs, there was, like, one of the first packs that he cracked only had one uncommon in it, which was really interesting. I mean, I guess the way that you kind of look at this list is the rarity doesn't really matter. Like, they're all pretty good cards that are catching reprints. So I don't think anyone's going to be upset about that, but it's just, it kind of brought to attention for me that it's not a normal distribution of cards in these booster packs. So, but there was one consistent thing is that they would always have at least one rare and a foil in there. Most of the time, two rares, if not all the time. I kind of lost track at one point, but it looked like there was always at least two rares in there. So, that's a pretty big thing, man. Yeah.
So there's a couple of big cards in this set, and then there's a bunch of these $8, $9, $4, $5, $3 cards that It's interesting that this reliquary tower they're saying is 276. That just got reprinted. Maybe it's this art.
Yeah,
No,
that's weird.
I mean, I've got a stack of those. I can't imagine they're actually $3.
Palace Jailer's catching the reprint too. Bet you're so glad that you just got rid of 2 of those. Huh?
Oh, yeah, I did. And they're and this is overvaluing them from what I just saw on TCG Player. Monastery Swift Spear, which reminds me, we have a shout out. We have 2 shout outs.
2 shout outs.
Man, we should have started with all of this. We got right into the...
Yeah, right. Coronavirus, the stuff that no one's really paying attention to.
I know. And
skipped
skipped right from that to this. And I've got the CFB events are... All right, let's pick a...
Let's do
pick
it.
Pick a lane.
This is the lane I'm going in. First of all, we had a little mini competition last week.
Yes.
We're so good, as you guys might notice, at remembering card names. We're always just like, that card that does this, and
see this thing I'm doing touching my face? Don't do that.
But we did it last week, and we offered a shout out to anyone who could nail the card.
What was that vampire?
It was started with an M. God damn, I'm gonna forget it again. Bring up the video.
Now we have to bring up the
video.
video.
We have to shout out David Doofer. He local player at our shop. He knew exactly what it was. I can just see him watching the video. I can almost see him saying it as
we
he's
actually have a
posting
camera hooked up to his computer.
Like I can just be him like you can see him just being like, oh yeah, that's Malakir Vampire or whatever it is. Like, you know what I mean?
I think
just
that might be close.
Typing it right down. Yep, I know exactly what he's talking about. It's his card. Like,
well,
he knows.
it was
He's
really funny.
He knows some of those OG combos too, man. He's been in the game a while.
So he said, which was really funny, that he's a late night guy, and he was watching the video at like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And was like, oh, I got it. So for everybody else that might have thought they had a shot, you never had a shot.
It was Mephedros Vampire is what it was.
It was never your car.
It was never your car. Doofer had it in the bag the whole time. Nailed it. But yes, that was what we had referred to as the original Heliod Walking Ballista combo right there. The Mephedros Vampire. And the other card, Triskelion, were the original 2. People were just tooth and nail right out. And see, I love that. I love that somebody, Doofer, was just like, yep, blam.
I know exactly what
you're talking about. You're not full of shit. Like, you didn't just make that up.
Let's validate us. we need that validation. Actually, we've gotten a lot of comments on the recent videos, and we really do appreciate it. Another friend of ours and now listener of the podcast gave us some really great feedback, and we want to shout him out as well.
That's Byron. How's it going, Byron?
We talked about Byron last week.
We did, man.
Because we were talking that he top 4'd a recent Modern event playing Black-Green Elves.
Absolutely, man. And you would never expect, Black-Green Elves to do well. You just got to see it played by this guy. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? You never really know how good a deck is until you get a good pilot behind it, and they just smash you out of nowhere with it when you think you have the upper hand. That's when you notice, like, damn, something's busted with this deck. Let's ban it. Like, when you get that feeling, you have a good pilot. But so thank you, Byron, for watching and for offering some good advice on the comments. He mentioned a card called Soulscar Mage. And, had kind of, from what I recall, kind of bringing it up as like something to talk about for a potential, like investment or potential card to keep an eye on, at least, in the Pioneer formats, in the Modern formats. What do you think, Brad?
I think it's proven itself to be an eternally playable card. It's killing it in Pioneer. It's obviously killing it in Modern. I'm playing the Heliod combo deck in Pioneer. When I see my opponent go turn 1 Soulscar Mage, and I just think, well, my Heliod can be indestructible all he wants, but he can't survive -1/-1 counters. That's pretty rough.
It is, man. I was looking at a Modern list that had Soulscar Mage in it, and I saw something similar in Pioneer, where it basically it's a prowess deck. They just play a bunch of spells and make their things evasive with things like Crash Through, which is a 1 mana sorcery, and it says creatures you control gain trample until end of turn, draw a card.
Yep.
So that's really cool, man. The fact that it survives in a format that just saw Once Upon a Time get banned in Modern is impressive. Because right now, there's not many lists out there for big tournaments, but we immediately see just what you think you would see when you ban Once Upon a Time for all the creature decks. Like, all the toolboxy creature decks. You see just a resurgence of the Urza decks. You see just a overwhelming number of Urza decks. So the fact that Soulscar Mage can survive in a format like that, and in a very crafty way, it's like not a typical burn deck. It's a prowess wins deck, is I believe what it's called, and it just runs cool stuff like Soulscar Mage, Kiln Fiend, obviously Monastery Swiftspear, Kiln Fiend, probably the big kill card out of this whole deck. They should call it Kill Fiend. That's what it should really be. I'm not sure if anybody's ever been cracked by one of those when someone starts going off, but
I think most of us have been cracked by one of those at some point.
It doesn't feel good, man. And now that they have tools like Crash Through to make it so you can't just chump them with some dumb 1/1, like that gets just even worse. Oh yeah, and then they got Lava Dart for a flashback effect.
Yeah,
God, so good.
and you can just do it over and over again. You get a Kiln Fiend on board, and then the next turn play your third mountain, and then just Lava Dart, Lava Dart, Lava Dart.
Crash Through or something.
You're freaking dead.
Yeah, that's bad news. So, I don't know. I like the card. You know what I like about Soulscar Mage? Is just that weird ability that it has. First of all, it's a 1/2 for 1 mana. Yep. There you go. Instantly passes the vanilla test. It's not as cool in the beginning as Monastery Swiftspear because that Swiftspear just comes out swinging, which is exactly what you want to do in most red decks. But for the matchups where, that won't serve you as well as like creature removal, or when you're going up against the arch nemesis of red, which is some huge creature deck that just dumps Tarmogoyfs out really quickly, or like, just musters up some outrageous defense very quickly. Those like cards like Soulscar Mage really matter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because suddenly you can kill a Tarmogoyf with a bolt, or at least nullify it to the point where it's not really a thing.
Well, and especially when you think about now your bolt is really a combat trick because of prowess.
Mm-hmm.
And you swing in with the Soulscar Mage and they block with a Goyf. A lot of rock players, Goyf players in general will be like, okay, if you cast an instant, my Goyf is going to get bigger. Well, okay, yeah, but I'm also going to put 3 -1/-1 counters on there. Yeah. So your Goyf might get 1 bigger because now there's an instant in the yard.
And I mean, even the synergy specifically in this deck with Lava Dart is just interesting because you still have the combat trick with that. But if you just nail that at like even a creature that someone might think they're safe with, if they slam out an early 3/3 or a 4/4 even, or hell, a Tarmogoyf, it might not seem like much with that Lava Dart. But when it's going up against a Soulscar Mage, it kind of makes a big difference. Like, okay, you have a 3/4 Tarmogoyf, that's great. I'm going to swing in with a Soulscar Mage. Now let's just assume all we have is 1 mana and a Lava Dart in hand. And we hit the Goyf, and suddenly, okay, the Goyf is now a 1/2, and the Soulscar Mage is going to kill it. Like, otherwise, without Soulscar Mage's ability, it would not have been able to kill the Goyf. You know what I mean? It would have traded with it. It would have... so it just adds some weird versatility in there where like, it can kind of push you over the top. I mean, I suppose the same could be said for any other spell that you aim at their face and just Lava Dart their Goyf for 1. You know what I mean? You suddenly turned your Lava Dart into a, hey, I don't lose my guy and you lose your Goyf. That's pretty solid.
And I have pulled up SCG Regionals San Diego, first place, March 8th. And this was just a couple of days ago. Mono Red Blitz is what they're calling it, but it's the Mono Red Prowess deck. And so, good call, and Byron. This card right now looks to be creeping up on $5 a piece.
Yeah, it's getting there. This was one where I very rarely play standard, like where I actually invest in the cardboard. Especially now that Arena's out, I've even more rarely play standard. But this was one of the eras where I played standard, and it was, of course, I played mono red because I don't know much else. All right, but I just remember it being a really cool card. I was like, every time I played it, I'm like, yes. Like
This is the kind of card that I lose every goddamn game of Magic too, where when you're playing hardened scales and I'm like, what? That card does this? Like, oh, yeah, all non-combat damage.
Yeah.
So if you take a counter off a Walking Ballista while you have a Soulscar Mage out in play, you're dealing damage in the form of -1/-1 counters.
It's so nuts.
Ugh.
Yeah.
God. So. Thanks for bringing this up, Byron. This is a good. So one of the things that I was looking at was what has been reprinted in that set. Soulscar Mage did not get a reprint.
It did not.
Mono Red Blitz is still going to get played. Monastery Swift Spear did get a reprint. I would say if you ever think you're going to play red,
pick these up. Like, snap this shit up, man. Like, Soulscar Mage has even gone up since what it was at during its rotation of standard, like out of standard. Like, it was probably $2 or $3 at that point, which I thought was still high because I was like, what kind of deck's going to play this? But the longer it kind of lingers there, the more you're like, yeah, this is pretty sweet. So, yeah, man. I mean, it can't hurt. Like, the price isn't really too bad right now for Soulscar Mage. It's $3.95 on TCG Player. So if you shop around, you might be able to get them for pretty cheap. That's not, I wouldn't say that's a bad suggestion.
Right on. So thank you, Doofer, for naming Mephidros, and Byron for that great tip on Soulscar Mage. Let's see. Let's go back to things that we want to talk about. So we just talked a little bit about snapping this shit up, but before we tell you what to snap up,
before we really hit that one hard,
let's flashback.
Fucking right. What do all good Snapcasts do? They flashback, right?
So
we had some cool stuff happen. We had some cool predictions, man.
We did. So this week, most of our flashback is just saying we weren't that far off on our band conversation.
No. I had to make up for what Leaf called out of, saying, hey, that lattice, that Mycosynth lattice is never going to get banned. That's not in any fear. Next day, banned.
Yeah.
So we had to make up for it, right? So what did we call, man? What are some of the cards?
Well, I think you called Once Upon a Time in Modern.
Damn straight, man.
Nice job.
Damn straight. I'm surprised still, though, that they banned it.
Elbow. Corona.
That's right. I'm still kind of surprised. I thought they might let it go a little longer, but no, they nipped that one. I feel like that might be kind of the theme for this banning. Like, I think a lot of people in many formats felt like that was a little too soon.
So the other one that we talked about Underworld Breach and Legacy. And that has gotten a little bit of pushback where people think, okay, Legacy could have corrected, given enough time. Once Upon a Time, I'm not so certain about. And I like the card because even after the banning of Oko, the Simic Eldrazi deck that I had built was pretty good. I think that deck is really in a tough spot now. The problem is Amulet decks now that the combination of Valakut, which normally was a Scape Shift deck, and Amulet, which was normally a combo deck that tried to kill you with Sunhome and the other crap.
Yeah.
They're now one deck. And we're so consistent with Once Upon a Time that they were the de facto best deck.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, at that point, this is how I feel about it. Like I said, it is definitely a busted card. Like, as soon as you play it, you're like, Once Upon a Time, and you just feel so good because you didn't have to pay any mana and you get 5 more looks at the top of your library. It is really cool. Would I consider it an enabler? Probably. You know what I mean? There's ways that could really get out of hand. But look at the format since they did that. Like that. This is why I think it might be a little too soon, because now that they banned Once Upon a Time, granted, we don't have a lot of data at this point. However, there has just been an overwhelming amount of these Urza decks of, kind of what, or kind of what we talked about before with like this weird mono red deck that has to exist now because you have all of these, you have either an Urza deck or you have the new, the blue-green control, the snow control deck. Like those are the two, the Bant Snowblade, yeah, like that. Those variants are just insane. Like you see Bant Snowblade all over the place. You see the one of the red deck we were talking about.
Yeah, on a red blitz. Yeah.
Yep. And then you see, Death Shadow. Like you see a one of Tron. Like maybe the sample size is small here, and it just happens to be that there was a ton of snow control players at this tournament.
See if
but
when was the banning announced?
Last week. Yeah, last week. So
yeah, so I'm looking at 310. That just happened.
Mm-hmm.
Bringing up my high tech calendar.
Cellular telephone over here.
Cellular telephone.
But yeah, I think it really, as much as it broke one deck, I think it made other decks. Changed the
format too much.
It made other decks cool.
Mardu 8-ball? Oh, that's got to be the Lightning deck with like 8-ball lightnings.
Oh my God.
But I give props to whoever called their deck Mardu 8-ball. You got some cojones.
Yeah, that's sweet.
But looking at a modern preliminary event, the meta looks a lot better there. Dimir Wurza, Artifact Breach, Mono Blutron, Bant Soul Herder. I love that deck.
Yeah. By the way, Breach is still legal in Modern.
Oh, yeah.
Breach, still legal. Caught the ban in Legacy. Still legal in Modern.
Hell, it's legal in Standard.
It's ridiculous. I'm on board with saying that, I agree with the subsect of the population that says the Breach banning in Legacy was far too soon.
Yeah.
I completely agree with it. Like, people run ley lines in that format, like almost Standard. You know what I mean? People run Graveyard Hate. There's ways around it. I mean, there's Force of Will. It's just a weird, different format.
There's Force of Vigor.
There's Force of Vigor, exactly.
Mike just got 2 of those off me.
That's right, man. Hey, you wanted some foiled walking ballistas, and you guys know how I feel about those. Those investment cards is what I call them right there. But you should, I feel special because you traded me some cool stuff tonight. I want you to know you're also special because I would not trade those foil walking ballistas to just anybody.
I'm feeling the love, man.
The bromance is real.
All right. So, patting ourselves on the back. Flashback, we had a couple of good calls. Maybe a week or two before that, I offhandedly mentioned Biogenicus. That card is creeping up. I'm not saying it's making giant gains, but that was a write this shit down from a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually moving.
Yeah, 28% looks like over the week. So.
Oh yes, Echo MTG is a new resource that I've found, and if you're not following them on Twitter, I would definitely suggest checking out Echo MTG on Twitter. It basically runs like a stock ticker of Magic cards that are moving in price.
Is this the one you showed me where they just make random posts all throughout the day of like weird moves on cards?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is so cool. That's basically their whole feed.
That is the whole feed. Echo. I'm working with 1927 computer technology behind the scenes. For those that have an interest in production, we pretty much do this whole podcast through a mixer directly into an iPhone and cut, edit, post everything right on the phone. I'm so super proud of our production flow. And behind that, we have a less powerful computer than this phone.
We have one of those, you remember those calculators back in the day that used to take up an entire room?
You turn them upside down and it says boobies.
Yeah, we're working with that kind of technology here, okay? So bear with us. But But yeah, so he just brought up Echo MTG on Twitter, and yeah, it's just a really cool feed, man. Like they're pointing out cards like Yavimaya Coast, Wall of Omens, Declaration in Stone, and they just show like these ups and downs and percent, and like it's all over the place. Like it's really cool to just tune into if you're dubbing around on your Twitter and you just see these guys flash something up like, oh wow, that card went up or that card went down.
That card is. Why has that card gone up 50% since last week? What is it doing?
So it looks like these guys do that as soon as they figure these things out. Like they're one of your first sources to notice, like, hey, this card went up. Hey, this card went down. So, not bad.
Yeah. It's interesting. They're showing that Leyline of Sanctity is trending down a little bit. That would be a write this down or snap this up.
Yeah.
But we won't go there.
Do you think we'll ever see the days where the ley lines are what they were when they were first printed in like M19 or whatnot, or M10 or
M10,
11?
Yeah, I was going to say that was a long time ago.
Yeah. They were like, do you remember what Ley Lines of the Void were when they rotated out? $1. Do you know what Ley Line of Sanctity was at when it rotated out?
Probably less than that.
$1.
Yeah.
Stupid.
I think now there's too much price memory and price knowledge. Price memory is when a card had a certain value, players assume that the card itself is worth that value, ignoring market principles because most people don't worry about that sort of thing. In their brain, this was a $10 card. It's been a $10 card for years. They don't want to trade it. In some ways, that can work to your benefit. So thinking about the mystery booster printings that are coming out tomorrow, there are cards in that set that probably by all rights should tank in price. That really won't.
Right.
Because people just say, you know what? This is a $10 card. I'm not gonna trade it for $5. I'm not gonna sell it for $1.
Right. Like if you cracked a friggin' mana crypt or a mana crypt, and that thing went down to like $30, would you trade that thing away? I wouldn't be caught dead trading that thing away for $30 or selling it for $30 cash even. Like, just because we come from that mindset, we're like, man, this was the holy grail that you could have cracked in Eternal Masters. Like, this card is so good. It was only printed, the first time in that one book printing. Like, it has such a history. Like, to us, it'll always just be worth more than that, no matter how many copies there are out there. So, what you're saying is that could be a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely, because that will keep the value artificially high, because people would rather have it in their binder than sell it for what market supply and demand would have the card at otherwise.
Do you think it's also a healthy mindset to have when a card does drop below like that where it should be, and you're just like, you kind of have the same mindset, but you're in the opposite position where you're
gotta get this card.
Yeah,
I gotta get this card. This is too good of a deal right now.
Exactly. Like, I didn't need a 5th jet today. I just traded Brad with some cards, and he had this foil from the vault jet, and like, this card, I don't ever remember it being below $10. Okay, and like, I remember it being $50. Like, you know what I mean, in the regular version of it. And now here's this foil from the vault version that's worth like $10. I'm like, yeah, let's throw that in there. Like, you know what I mean? Because I kind of had the opposite effect. I'm like, this is like a $40 card in its regular form. You know what I mean? And so I know I kind of look for stuff like that sometimes in trades. Like, I feel.
Oh man, I totally made out. I didn't realize. Look at what else got reprinted.
Oh, Kolagon's Command. Look at that.
I traded him one of those too.
Yep.
Sweet. Collective Brutality.
Oh shit, man.
There's so many good cards in this set.
Dude, yeah, I just noticed, I didn't know they put Lotus Petal in there until I was watching that guy's video and he pulled one. I'm like, shit, that's in there too? Like, that's, yeah, it's so cool, man. But yeah, so the flashback section, that was really cool. We did all right. We're patting ourselves on the back this time. Like I said, we won't be afraid to admit our failures as well in flashbacks if we were completely wrong. So, this week is a good week.
Yeah. We're on the up this week.
That's right. So do we want to jump into our Snap This Shit Up section officially?
I think we should.
Yep. Boom. Now, do you got the damn theme music?
Oh, wait. Regular theme music.
That's all right. It'll work. We can just start snapping.
That's like the horror movie stuff.
I don't know if that fits this section, Brad. I'm not
I
going to
should
lie.
hope
but
not. I should hope not. I think what we want is...
Yes. Snap this shit up, mofos. Snap it up.
So we've looks like we've got a pretty long list today of things that we're interested in.
This was insane. So some cards have gone down, and I think this mentality that you're talking about, that we literally just talked about, is fueled a lot of the reason why I called out some of the cards that I did. Where I just said, this is ridiculous. This card is this price right now. Yeah. That's insane.
So, and maybe we should have talked about this before the podcast or before this section, but thinking about the paper events being canceled, there's a couple of things that may happen with this. One is people are going to be playing online, and they may sell cards to play online. The other thing is, though, vendors buy most of their cards in live events. So even your Channel Fireballs and your 9 to 5 MTG, like the bigger vendors, they count on taking paper Magic cards in at events to then turn around and sell online.
Yeah.
So there's going to be this weird juggling of demand. It might be low if we see 3 months of no events because of this virus.
And I think especially with big sites like like Star City, for example, they're not going to want to sit there and take losses for 3 months not selling cards. So I think we're going to see some sales off Star City. People, them dropping prices on a lot of cards, which will in turn drop them everywhere else. You know, so I think that staying in front of this coronavirus with your Magic cards, look for that to happen. Much like the stock market has done, the real stock market has done in response to this. I think card prices will also follow this in the short term.
One of the other competing factors is this is the time of year where a lot of people have their tax returns coming in. They would normally spend those on Magic cards. We don't know what's going to happen this year. People are literally, I heard about a fight that broke out today in Sam's Club because people are going crazy over stuff shopping.
It's so nuts, man.
So we're going to talk about these cards to snap up because we think that whatever their values are now, their ultimate values in the longer term, 6 months, a year, these cards are going to be way more than they are now. We're not saying that if you were to buy this card today, in a month or in 2 months, they might be cheaper.
It's true. There are some, though, that I still can't wrap my head around that they are this low in price. In fact, as soon as I saw it, I went and snapped a couple up myself on eBay, and I think I bought the two lowest, which probably brought the price up even higher because there wasn't many of them at the price that I saw.
What are we talking about?
So the card that I was most fired up about this week was Foiled Caracas. Okay, this card I remember paying for the English version.
What language is that?
The English.
Okay.
The English version of this Legends from that set, I remember paying $60 for it at one point, and I felt good about that. I was like, yep, that was a good deal. You know what I mean? This is before all the reprints, because that was the only time it was printed, was in Legends, and it was just so rare. And it was just a really cool card. So in case anyone doesn't know what it is, it's just a land card. They don't play it in Commander because it's banned, but it taps for a white. It's a legendary land, right?
Yeah.
And taps for a white, or it can also tap and return a legendary creature to its owner's hand. So you can see why it's banned in Commander. But this card, mind you, the regular version of it from Legends used to be like $60+. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the Legend version was still that expensive. However, there are all of these reprints that just, Eternal Masters just reprinted it. I believe it was printed in another set as well. Ultimate Masters.
Eternal Masters both had it.
Yep. And it was the box topper of it. I picked up a foiled Caracas today on eBay for $18. Foiled. I mean, it wasn't too far long ago in history where the regular version of this, even in the reprints, were $25. So, I mean, it just blew my mind that I looked at this and I said, this can't be right. Like, I kept looking at the auction. I'm like, is this real? Like, what's going on here? So, I bought that one, and there's one right below it too for like $19. And I'm like, yeah, this is ridiculous. I wouldn't be surprised if more pop up like that. Is it catching a reprint in this most recent set too? The mystery boxes? I believe it is.
Oh, is it?
I think so. I could be wrong. Just do a quick
I'm-
Control F or Command F on your Mac computer.
Well, I imagine it would be in this higher price range of cards, and I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, you would think, but after so many reprints. Yeah, but who knows? Even if it isn't, like, even stranger of a reason that this is a $18 foil right now. Like, Caracas is an insane card. It's used in every single Death and Taxes deck in Legacy. Granted, I get how it has limited uses, but it's sort of like Maze of Ith, where it's got a limited use, but that use is really good. And like, you know what I mean?
And it's really the only thing that does what it does.
Right, exactly. It's the only thing that really does what it does.
Now, there is the box topper that you talked about. There is a Judge promo. The box toppers from this set were all foil, not like the extended arts that you can get now that might be foil or non-foil. So I could see somebody that was really trying to pimp their deck out favoring one of those. But I think you're right. I think where those are $38, $40, if you can get a foil Caracas for under $20 and you think you might ever play with it, it's certainly worth picking up. If you can trade into them or get a couple under $20, it might be a good investment.
And who knows? I might be wrong. It might just be that mentality we talked about where I'm like, this card was insane at one point in history, and I can get a foil now for $17, $18. Like, it very well could go down. I just highly doubt it will. Like, a foil Caracas, man. That's like a collector's item right there, But either way, so that was the one I was really fired up about. I would say snap this shit up. If you can get those at $20 or below, foil Caracas, get them. Like, I don't think it's going to go much lower than that if it ever does.
I'm also in the real estate market. My snap this up this week, my primary one is Waterlog Grove, which is you might call them the Horizon land cycle. It's the blue-green Horizon land that you can sacrifice to draw a card.
I'm surprised you didn't call them something else. I literally call those types of lands one name because I heard you say it once, and it was so catchy.
Can lands?
Can lands, man. Yeah. Canopy lands.
Yeah.
Either way, sorry.
Well, it's because we like to say man lands. But
man lands?
Can lands. I think even Manlands is a term is falling out of favor. But we're seeing a lot of blue-green. A lot of powerful Simic cards recently, which we talked about a few episodes ago, how they've sort of gone from obscure and unplayable Simic to having some of the most busted and now most frequently banned cards in the game between blue and green. Humans lists are running the Waterlog Grove. Infect is running Waterlog Grove. There's a few other modern decks that are running it. I'm seeing it in a lot of the MTG 50 finish leagues. I was looking at the standings from the Modern Challenge on March 8th. Saw a bunch of copies in there. You can get these between $5, $6, $7 right now. In a year, these will be double that. After a couple more modern events, I think, actual Horizon Canopy was an outrageously expensive card, and largely because it was the only one of its kind.
Mm-hmm.
I think that even this Waterlog Grove could be a stand-in for any of these can lands.
Absolutely. And that's all of what green-blue wants to do is just draw cards, like get another bite at the apple. Like, it seems really good. And speaking of Horizon Canopy, that has gone down significantly now that there are replacements in the market for it.
Yeah.
It's just like you said, it was one of a kind. You know what I mean? There wasn't many like it, or any like it in that case. So now there is, and I think you're right. Like those cards will definitely go up. I think you can find most of them for under $10 now.
I think right now all of them are under $10.
Yep.
and that just won't last. I mean, it's the gift that keeps on giving. We keep talking about Modern Horizons in different ways, and we have more Modern Horizon cards on here.
Is Waterlogged Grove the cheapest of them all?
It actually might be. And that's I don't know an easy way to look these up. Maybe if we can look up just Modern Horizon cards. So let's.
Well, you said what was it at, like $5, $5 or $6?
I think closer to 7.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen many lower than that. At $8, I contemplated.
So they're saying market price is $648.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty good, man.
Looking at that set in total and cards that are, oh, you know what? I guess we could have looked at it here at this fancy site too.
I wonder if this would be in Waldemar's trash or gem section. What does he call it? It's trash and he has 2 terms. We need to have a segment on the show where we dial Waldo in.
I know, just get him. Hey, can you define this card for me?
We'll call it the "Where's Waldo" segment. We're just like,
God, where's just do that?
Where's Waldo on this card? What's he feel about this?
So let's see. It looks like the most expensive is Sunbaked Canyon.
Makes sense.
All
of what Boros Burn ever needed. Sunbaked Canyon.
It really is. I need to be able to throw these lands away. Fiery Islet, a blue-red land for under $10. Now, I looked today because of Echo MTG. The fast land, the Spire Bluff Canal, that's up to like $11 or $12.
Not bad.
There's no way that this card won't be more than that.
Yeah.
Then we jump pretty far down. There's a few cards in between Fiery Islet and Waterlogged Grove. Silent Clearing. That makes sense.
Silent Clearing is the cheapest. But oddly enough, I see this in so many decks. Silent Clearing. Yep. Like all of the Jund decks are running that. And that's a $5 card right now. That seems really good.
And that's one of those ones that I think people just get that in their head. Like even me just now, I said, oh, the blue-red one, that's got to be the most expensive. The black-white one, people will assume is the cheapest. And that may just be a false assumption.
Yeah.
So, but these are all under $10 right now. If you're a modern player, have them now so you're not kicking yourself down the road for not owning copies of these.
I think it's fair to say, you can mark our words on this podcast. If you ever have a can land and you can get one for like under, $6, $7 or $6, do it. Like they're not going below that. Like no. It's just so rare.
And there's no, I don't see a reason or venue for them to reprint these in any sort of quantity. They're doing a lot of Commander product this year. They're still only, even if they put one of these in all of the new Commander decks this year, it's 1 copy.
Right.
And that would be unusual for them to do that.
Absolutely.
We're getting long in the tooth here.
That's what I was going to say. So there you go. Get the can lands. Really good investment. Another one, I got a penny stock for you, right? Mm-hmm. If you're really into these penny stocks where you don't spend much on a card and you just buy them like a bulk shit ton of them, Wishclaw Talisman, man. I'll say it again. I said this a couple of weeks ago, and it's just even more clear to me now after seeing this card perform in Legacy, in Modern. The card is good. Like, it is really good. Especially now that Breach is banned in Legacy. Granted, I don't think Legacy really drives a lot of card prices that aren't on the reserve list too much. But again, it goes back to my, sort of the reason of why I pick a lot of cards is because it's a really good leading indicator of how good the card is. You have a huge card pool like Legacy, and they're running cards like Wishclaw Talisman in it. Like, that's really good. That means the card has some serious value to it. And it looks typically like they use it in combo decks where they're trying to finish right there. They don't care that you have a turn. You probably won't get another turn. If you do, they probably just, they blew their wad and they're probably done anyway. Like, there's no way to come back from it. So, like, they're kind of using it as a Grim Tutor, as an even better Grim Tutor. You know what I mean? Just go get their Tendrils of Agony if they're using that, or I even saw it in a Painter's deck, which was really cool. So they just run, it was like a stompy Painter's Servant combo deck. It was weird. but they ran Wishclaw Talisman because it's like, yep, I'm just gonna go grab the other
I
piece
need
that I need,
one or the other. Yep.
and and then kill you. So
I had a card sort of written here somewhere for that same reason. Oh, when we were talking, you had mentioned Inverter at one point. Muddle the Mixture is a tutor for those decks in the Breach decks that are playing Thassa's Oracle. Muddle the Mixture can be a counterspell, or it can go get Breach, or it can go get Thassa's Oracle.
it's really good.
Muddle the Mixture is a crazy good card.
Yep.
We've talked about this card a bunch, but Karn the Great Creator is still $5 or less. There are some awesome decks coming up under the surface in both Standard and Pioneer that if anything happens in those metas, this card might be in a top tier deck again. It won't be $5 for long. If you don't have them,
Get them.
snap this shit up.
Absolutely. We've talked about it before. It's just so good. No reason to beat a dead horse here. Like it's so good. Get it at $4 to $5. It's too good of a card. I saw another interaction which put this card on my snap this shit up list. It was so nuts. It was an interaction with Karn the Great Creator, and it used this was in Saffron Olive's video where he used Jund taking turns and used this card called Yugen's Nexus to take infinite turns with Karn, which I thought was so sweet. Or it's not necessarily infinite, but it's a lot. And, so you just keep going. And what Yugen's Nexus is, granted, I had to look this up. I'd never heard of this card before. And, it's a mythic rare, okay? And it's worth $1 right now. Like, you should definitely pick all of them up. This is what it does. It's a 5-drop artifact. And it says you can tap it it says when it hits the graveyard, then take an extra turn after this one, exile it. So what do? You sack it somehow. There's a ton of sack effects that you can use in both Pioneer and Modern. So you sack it, you take an extra turn, it goes into exile, and then you go get it with Karn and do it again. And then the next turn you get it with Karn again and do it again. And, heaven forbid you draw another Karn in here at some point. You go fetch it up again. Or you draw another Yugen's Nexus and you sack it again. They use a card that I'm sure you're all familiar with. The Fey Cursed. What's his name? Corvold the Fey Cursed, which just allows you to sack something on attack. So not only are you hitting for pretty hard, but you're also sacking a permanent. So you're sacking the Yugen's Nexus and taking an extra turn. So when you go and grab it with Karn, you can just do it again next turn. So you just beat him to death with Corvold or some other sack outlet, and just keep taking turns, beating him to death. They also run in that deck a very good card, Tireless Tracker, which this isn't on our list, but it should be. Just went back down to $10 again. Get them. Like, it's one of the best beater cards ever made in Magic, and at $10, I think it's well worth it.
So one of the things that sort of, you just explained it, but I don't think at least on our podcast, we've never said this explicitly. One of these million hidden lines or specific words on Karn the Great Creator. You may choose, for -2, you may choose an artifact card you own from outside the game or in exile. Reveal that card. So even if you have an opponent that Oblivion Rings your artifact or effect, if you exile it to another effect, if they cast down, that's big in Pioneer.
Mm-hmm.
Cast out, not cast.
Yes.
Cast out, exiles it. And you say, thank you very much. I will just replay it from under your cast out. Give me that back, and I'll put it back into play.
That's a great point, because a lot of times when people see Karn the Great Creator, they assume, what are you getting out of your sideboard? But with this combo, it goes to exile when it dies. So Karn can just grab it again, because he says, outside the game, meaning your sideboard, or exile. So really, really good, man. Interesting combo. I just think single-handedly you're going to see something that we call the Saffron Olive effect, where he mentions a card or plays a deck that has it that no one really had. The card didn't have any attention on it, and suddenly, it has way more attention on it, and there's not as much of them out there. And this, I think, is one of those. It's a mythic rare from Karns of Tarkir, I believe. There's just not many of them out there, and it's only $1 for a mythic rare. Like, pick them up, man. You ain't got $5. What are you doing? Like, just go get a play set of these and just watch what happens.
Crazy time to be alive, man. Magic cards are moving like crazy.
They
We're
sure
going
are.
to see a bunch of tournaments get canceled. We're going to see a lot of people playing Magic online. I mean, I guess, I hope that we all stay healthy, first and foremost. I will say to all of our friends that are in the main area, those that play in our FLGS, those that'll be looking to play in there's a Pioneer 1K coming up later this month. If you're coughing, stay home.
Don't be spreading that stuff.
Don't be spreading that stuff.
You know what? Instead of going to these events and spreading your germs, stay at home and spread this podcast.
Ooh,
Share it with your friends.
absolutely.
Subscribe to us.
Subscribe on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Google Play, wherever you listen to podcasts. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon. There's this whole litany of things that you can do. But certainly, if you're enjoying listening to us week to week, we would love it if you could help us grow the podcast.
Absolutely. And to those of you that have, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Again, all of the comments, just even seeing people in person and having conversations with them. We're just so pumped that you guys listen to this, and we're really, really fired up about it. So thanks so much.
Mike?
As always, elbow.
Elbow.